More press conferences, more games, more chances to impress this grouchy bastard. Let's get started. Hello everybody, I'm Andrew Fantasia, and welcome back to round 2 of what I am now calling the quest to be impressed. Because like I said, when it comes to video games, I am a picky, cheap SOB, and you really need to step up to the plate if you want to get me impressed about a video game. Impressed enough to drop the full price when it comes out on day one. So what did Ubisoft have to present? What did Bethesda have to present? Really quick bullet point thoughts from the brain of a man who is almost never impressed by video game reveals. Doom Eternal. Okay, Doom did it right. Doom did it very, very right. Because guess what? They showed off a ton of gameplay in this conference. If you're a Doom fan, which I'm not, I don't care for Doom, but if you're a Doom fan, I can imagine that this made you so flippin' excited you probably peed. You probably peed everywhere, and I wouldn't blame you. And they're doing some kind of giveaway where you can get the helmet. If you pre-order like a super duper mumbo jumbo pack, you can get the actual helmet that the Doom guy wears. I don't think he has a name. I think he's just called Doom Guy. Also, between Doom Eternal and Halo Infinite, we're getting a lot of first-person shooters that seemingly will never end, even though they'll probably only have like a 5-hour-long campaign, because that's how first-person shooters usually tend to go these days. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I don't want to pay full price. Next up, speaking of shooters in very colorless atmosphere, we have 10 minutes of Gears 5 gameplay. Alright, so yesterday I took a nice pot shot at Gears 5. I said, look, your game is coming out in September and you don't have any gameplay to show us. That's a red flag for me. Well, they made me eat my words with a side order of onion rings, because guess what? They showed lots of minutes of Gears 5 gameplay, and it's what I would expect, I guess, from a Gears game. It's a bunch of people who are built like refrigerators, running around in bulky armor, shooting things in gray-brown environments. If that's for you, boy howdy, you got a good time was had by you. Fallout 76, I only caught the highlight of this. They talked about Fallout 76. From the sounds of things, there was some controversy here. Now, I don't play Fallout. I don't play Fallout 76. Fallout 76, from what I hear, is online only. So, no thanks. I do not touch online games. And apparently, everybody hates it. That's the gist of what I gather. Everybody hates Fallout 76 for whatever reason. Even the people from Bethesda who came out and spoke about it were like, hey, we know we effed up. We're going to try to rectify that. Does that mean I'm going to buy Fallout 76 now? Can I play it single player, campaign, story mode? Probably not. So probably not. Deathloop. This reminds me of that movie that came out like 20 years ago called Ballistic X vs. Sever. It was just two people who really hated each other and they were just shooting at one another a lot until one of them died. It's like Spy vs. Spy with human grown-ups. And that was it. It was a trailer, no gameplay, in one ear and out the other as far as I'm concerned. No gameplay, next. Moving on. So then we get to the Ubisoft press conference, and Ubisoft is a company that is near and dear to my heart, because I don't know if you can tell back there's my shelf of games. You see right here at the beginning this big chunk where it's all white. You know what that is? All those white games? That's Assassin's Creed, baby. That is one of my favorite series on the planet. Assassin's Creed and Zelda, for me, are like neck and neck. And Ubisoft are the people who make Assassin's Creed. I dig their stuff. I think their games are all really beautiful and they feel, well made. They don't feel cheap. Their games do not feel cheap at all. So when Ubisoft press conference began, I was excited, I was nervous, I was on the edge of my seat, and what did they drop to get me going? They dropped the world premiere of Watch Dogs Legion. I know it's only day 2, but I'm impressed. I can't believe what I saw. This isn't just a matter of, I saw a really cool looking game with some fun gameplay that I want to buy. They showed me a game where I'm just like, how the hell did you do this, Ubisoft? How did you pull this off? We have post-Brexit London, and it is a dour, dystopian place to live, and you're walking around, hacking things, looking at your profiler, finding out about the citizens who make up this city, just like Watch Dogs 1 and Watch Dogs 2. Good old-fashioned hacky time fun. And then they drop the bombshell where they're like, guess who the main protagonist is of the game? Guess who you play as? And the answer is you play as any frickin' person you want. You play as any NPC walking around on the streets of London. You find out about them, you do missions to recruit them, and if they become loyal to your hacker cause, they get added to your arsenal, and anytime you want, you just hit the pause menu and you switch over and you start playing as Joe Blow from the east side of London, and then you hit the pause menu and you go back and you start playing as Jane Doe from the west side of London. And I could not believe what I was seeing. I don't know how they did this. I have no idea how the people at Ubisoft pulled this off. And to top it all off, one of the many characters you could potentially play as that they showed off in this extensive trailer full of gameplay, which is what I like to see, was this lady, an old grandma who feeds ducks at the park or some shit. She goes walking around hacking things. She's got a little drone shaped like a spider that she uses to kill people. Oh my god. When can I get my hands on this game? The answer to that question is March 2020. That feels like a hell of a long time, but it's worth the wait. You know what? I'll wait as long as I have to if this can deliver on what it's promising, and I think it will. Then all of a sudden, Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia shows up and says he's got a new show coming out called Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, and it looks like essentially it's just Silicon Valley, but instead of people who make software, it's people who make an MMORPG. I like the concept. I like all the people behind it. I mean, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is fantastic, but I don't know. To me, this show just has that presence. It feels like the kind of show that's going to get canceled after 14 episodes. I can just feel it. I know it's going to be funny because funny people are behind it, but, you know, I'm not chomping at the bit to see Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet. I love you, Rob McElhenney. You will always be my Sonny in my Philadelphia. Brawlhalla is getting an Adventure Time add-on. I don't know what Brawlhalla is, but they showed gameplay, which is nice, and it looks like a very pretty-looking cartoon fighting game. Looks like Smash Brothers, but cheaper, well animated, but just cheaper, smaller, less stuff going on, and now there's Adventure Time characters. So, if that floats your boat, there you go. There's some Brawlhalla action for you. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Ubisoft has a license with Tom Clancy, and they make Tom Clancy games, and there are about 74 different Tom Clancy titles. And from where I sit, because I'm just not, well versed in that stuff, they all look the same to me. It's just a bunch of really, really American people with guns running around, shooting folks. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was that. It was the same old stuff, and John Bernthal was there, and he was like, I'm the leader of this crew of recon ghosts, and I'm a really badass guy. You're gonna have to shoot me. And he actually comes on stage, and he's got a puppy for some reason, and he's just talking about Ghost Recon. And then this kicks off like a whole bunch of Tom Clancy stuff within the press conference. Tom Clancy games, I'm sorry if you're a fan of Tom Clancy, but I have less than zero interest in this. These games are just, they turn me off so much. It's just a bunch of big brawly dudes with beards and tattoos and machine guns, and they're going on saving the day for freedom and democracy. Like, you can just smell the Monster energy drinks and the Confederate flags waving in the air behind them. Like, no thank you. Oh, and by the way, Ghost Recon Breakpoint had 2 trailers, neither of which showed any gameplay. No surprise there. Then they moved on to Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which is a mobile game which basically crosses over all the Tom Clancy characters from every Tom Clancy thing ever into a little mobile game, which they did show small snippets of gameplay of. So if you ever wanted to see the epic Avengers-style crossover of Tom Clancy character with gun meeting up with Tom Clancy character with gun and having to take down the evil Tom Clancy character with gun, then this is the game for you. Just Dance 2020. I'm not a Just Dance guy. I don't like movement games either. Mr. Picky over here, am I right? A controller and a couch. That's all you need to give me. I don't want to waggle shit around, do jumping jacks. Just give me a controller with buttons and a cord, so I don't have to buy batteries, and a couch. That's all I need. So I don't play Just Dance, however. I loved the love in the Just Dance trailer. I loved how there was so much love for the community, for the people who play Just Dance. The whole trailer seemed like it was just like a great big thank you to everybody who's been playing Just Dance for the past decade. I liked seeing that. That was really sweet. Then there was this little cheesy dance number that they did, and I'm like tuning out. I'm like, okay. Girls in booty shorts throwing batons around, some guy in like a panda costume. I'm like, all right, moving on. For Honor which is a online-only game, so I'm never going to play it. Has a DLC thing going on, which is limited time only, so I hope it's free, called Shadows of the Hitokori, some kind of ghostly kabuki-looking thing. If you're into For Honor, have fun while you can, because it's limited time only. I really don't understand that. Imagine if, like, back in the day on N64, it was like, oh, you want to play as Oddjob in GoldenEye? Well, you can play as Oddjob for the week of June 1st to June 7th, and then he's gone. Like, huh? Then we go back to some more Tom Clancy flag waving with Rainbow Six Quarantine. Pass. And the Clancy keeps on rolling in because then they went with The Division 2, which is getting some DLC story packs throughout the year. Again, I never played The Division 2. Actually, to be honest, I don't know much about it. I don't know if it's online only. I think it is, which is why it would be off my radar. Makes sense. And then it ended with a very small teaser trailer with no gameplay. Shocker. And when they dropped this little trailer, I could not help but laughing hysterically because there was the guy who came out who was in charge of the game, and he showed off the trailer, and in the trailer they just show like some characters from The Division, you know, some random people with guns walking through a town that looks like any other town in The Division that we've seen, and they're like, oh, there's a guy who used to be one of us. I called him brother, and now I have to hunt him down and shoot him. And I swear to God, earlier in the conference when they had the other Tom Clancy game with John Bernthal, in the trailer for that, there was a voiceover saying almost the exact same thing, where they were like, we used to call these people brothers. Now they're coming after us, and we are going to have to shoot them with our guns. And after this trailer for The Division 2, the guy who's on stage is like, doesn't that blow your mind? Doesn't that 45 seconds of nothing blow your mind? I can't wait to get my hands on that. I was like, whatever you say, pal. You keep on waving those machine guns of freedom, partner. Then they talked about Uplay Plus, which is a streaming service, which I guess is like Ubisoft's equivalent of Xbox Game Pass or what have you. No, I don't think I will give money to this. Moving on. Roller Champions. It's like a futuristic sports game, like rollerball. They're on these skates. They're shooting balls through hoops. I'm going to be 100% honest. This looks like it might be kind of fun. This looks like it would be the kind of game that would make a good blockbuster rental. RIP, if video game stores still existed. I like the idea of a sports game that kind of has a story to it, where you have this kid in the future, and it's like a sport that's made up. It's not a real sport, and this kid, you know, practices in like the mean streets of whatever city they grew up on, and then they go to the big leagues, and you know, you kind of follow this person throughout their career, but you're still just playing a sports game, but it's kind of like an RPG because they're leveling up and they're getting better at it. I've always liked that idea for a sports game. But they didn't show us any gameplay, so... And they also did this thing where it was like, you can play the demo right now if you just hop online. So I hopped online, and I said, let me play the demo. And it said, okay, put in your Ubisoft username and password, and I did. And all I got was a blank screen. So I guess they lied. Finally, we got Gods and Monsters. They kept pushing the fact that this was made by the team who made Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is one of the best games in one of the best series I have ever played. So I was like, okay, they're really trying to sell us on this. What's this all about? And it just looks like a very beautifully drawn but empty environment where this lady in armor is fighting mythical Greek beasts one at a time. I have a feeling it's like Shadow of Colossus. Like you're in this huge world with like 12 monsters in it, and that's it. And you just got to run around and find them, which sounds pretty empty. If you ask me, that sounds like a game that would, if it was done well, I would maybe pay $20 for, but that is it. I'm going to have to say pass with a question mark until I know more. I'm giving it a little bit of a benefit of the doubt because, hey, it's the people who brought me Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But that was yesterday's conference in a nutshell. That was how I felt. I was impressed once by Watch Dogs Legion. My God, was I don't think I've ever been more impressed by a video game announcement. But the quest to be impressed will continue on tomorrow as E3 proper gets rolling, and then we'll get the Xbox conference, the Sony conference, and the Nintendo conference. Really looking forward to those. Thanks for tuning in. Come back and we'll see how many more times Andrew can get his grouchy ass impressed by E3 2019. I'll see you here next time, folks. Until then, adios.